I'm Patty.
I'm Kelsey.
I'm Owen.
I'm Jalen.
And I'm Peyton.
Approximately 792 million people in the world suffer from a mental disorder. About 2.2 million Americans, or 1% of the population, suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. Out of only 1% of Latinos suffer from OCD. Although these numbers are alarming, what is even more alarming is how racism leads to Latinos being misdiagnosed for OCD or not being diagnosed at all. Many would believe these two subjects would not correlate, but they have a much larger connection than what anyone could imagine. OCD is a profoundly serious disorder, and it can result in depression, extreme anxiety, and can increase the risk of substance abuse. These are just a few reasons as to why it is important for people to be diagnosed to help avoid these issues. In addition, these are statistics of anyone with obsessive compulsive disorder. There is so much more that comes into play and must be taken into consideration when discussing and researching OCD within the Latino community. It has been made clear that racism has a significant impact on those of Latin descent. Diagnosed and undiagnosed, with OCD shown through common symptoms, the overall connection of racism and OCD, and how the disorder affects the daily lives of Latinos. Obsessive compulsive disorder is a disorder characterized by unreasonable thoughts and obsessions, leading to compulsive behaviors. These compulsions can lead to disruptions in people's daily lives and social interactions. People with OCD have persistent thoughts and behaviors, and failure to perform these behaviors can cause distress. It is extremely hard for those who suffer from this disorder to stop their compulsive actions. Many Latinos have questions if OCD differs, many have questions if OCD differs in Latinos. After data was collected from the National Survey of American Life in 2019, it was found that many Latinos suffered from OCD. The discovery led to questions such as, if the prevalence was the same, what factors were keeping Latinos from finding help? Did Latinos have different symptoms which could potentially lead to a misdiagnosis? Or the obstacles in the mental health care system that made it difficult to find help? It was discovered that Latinos experience the same and some different symptoms European Americans experience. Many Latinos experience contamination and washing, hoarding, sexual obsessions, reassurance, aggression, mental compulsions, symmetry, and perfectionism. On the other hand, Latinos have more washing and contamination symptoms than European Americans. In addition, knowledge of cultural differences, and because of the lack of diversity in the original OCD assessment, there are now 2 different ways to test for OCD that have been revised to make diagnosing more diverse. The Obsessive Compulsive Inventory Revised and the Yale-Brown Obsessive Compulsive Scale are 2 different ways to test for OCD in Latinos. There's an undeniable connection between systematic racism and OCD in those of Latin American descent. Racism limits what people and researchers know about people with OCD. It also makes identifying symptoms in Latinos harder and influences symptom presentation. Racial discrimination also leads to poor mental health among Latinos and can lead to substance abuse and compulsive obsessions. Stereotypes play a significant role in OCD symptoms, and Latinos tend to have compensate for the negative stereotypes. For example, in the Latino culture, it is standard and expected that your belongings, and your house remain clean. To add on, racism affects Latinos with OCD because it makes them feel as if they must conceal their symptoms and actions to please white people and not make them feel threatened. Symptoms in Latinos with OCD are associated with racial discrimination and not non-racial discrimination. Racism even affects Latinos with OCD's day-to-day life. Due to the misdiagnosis of OCD, it can affect learning for Latinos. To illustrate, OCD can affect a student's productivity and their capability to get work done. The disorder in Latinos is also affected by racism because it can result in patients refusing help and treatment. With the fear of being mistreated or misdiagnosed, many Latinos choose to deny their disorder and pretend as if it does not affect them. Lastly, treatment for Latinos with OCD is sparse. According to Williams, Latinos are noticeably underrepresented in the OCD literature. The absence of research in OCD in the Latino population brings into question whether Latinos are optimally treated in the same ways that have been demonstrated to be beneficial to European Americans. It has also been discovered that Latinos have been underrepresented in OCD treatment clinics. Race is one of the many barriers that prevent people from receiving treatment. For example, many Latinos prefer to seek help from professionals that look like them, and because brown psychologists are underrepresented in the medical field, it results in Latinos not seeking the help they need. And other reasons why Latinos do not receive treatment is because of the fear they will be judged. The cost of treatment and the lack of insurance coverage are concerned about the treatment process. Or they feel as there is no need for treatment, are too busy to receive said treatment, and or are uneducated about OCD and treatment options. According to Williams, these obstacles can make the increase of Latino participation in OCD treatments difficult. To help eliminate the obstacles, CBT treatments have been disseminated to make treatment more affordable. Public education campaigns, educational presentations, and information sessions have also shown to increase the awareness of OCD and the importance of treatment. OCD is a very serious disorder that should be taken very seriously. It is also often overlooked when diagnosed in Latinos due to systematic racism. Due to the lack of knowledge of cultural differences between European Americans and minorities like Latinos, there are many people who go undiagnosed. There have been additional studies done to help eliminate the disadvantages for Latinos who suffer from OCD. For instance, the realization to make treatment for OCD cheaper and make it a more welcoming environment are just a few steps taken to aid Latinos who suffer from OCD. It has also been proven that racism fuels many symptoms in Latinos with obsessive compulsion disorder. There's still a lot of research to be done to make the world of OCD more inclusive and knowledgeable.